Hello! So you have seen the trailer. You know you can play as the heroes from the Dritz books, and the game is part of the Dark Alliance series. But you're on the fence because there are bad reviews everywhere, and you just don't know if you want to drop the money on it. In this review, I'll go over the player's perspective, a game dev's perspective, and let you know how to get the game temporarily for $1. Let's get into this review so you can get back to gaming. This is a Dark Alliance game. If you've ever played Baldur's Gate Dark Alliance 1 and 2, this game plays very similar to them, and it should, as it's using the name to bring in a player base. From a game design perspective, this game throws you in and teaches you through immersion and signifiers without just spoon-feeding you the information. This is a plus, as this is what games should be doing. Half-Life 2 is used as the standard when thinking about how to introduce players to new mechanics, and modern games should be moving toward this style, rather than the constant UI spamming and tip quests. Anyway, you're not here for a game design lesson, so moving on. Dark Alliance introduces level mechanics in a simple way in Act 1, and then builds upon those mechanics in future acts, making them more complicated. Building upon mechanics the player has been introduced to while introducing new mechanics a little at a time and then building on the new mechanics as well is very good game design. The next thing the game does right is that you can come in with a low skill level and still be able to play the game. But to reach a high skill level in the game, you have to put in the time and really learn how to play. I'm not the best at explaining this concept, I just know how the concept works. Low skill entry to high skill for mastering is good game design. The game delivers exactly what the trailer promises, so this is another plus. This is a hack and slash dungeon crawler, nothing more, nothing less. I know what you think, oh man, you're doing nothing but praising the game. But there are so many bad reviews out there. What are you up to? Well, okay, let's get into the bad. While this game builds upon a great backbone of game design, it needs some work. If this game were being graded, it would get a C or a B. And here's why. The main mechanic in this game is lock-on combat. Locking on helps keep your camera focused and your guy moving toward the target. But it can randomly switch off your target or turn off completely. This is super frustrating as a player. The camera and movements feel a little off. Not the best description I know, but once you get used to it, it's okay. Same thing with the lock-on mechanic. It is frustrating, but once you're used to it, you can use dodge to make up for when the lock-on fails so that you can recover and re-lock on. Another thing that needs some work is the dodge mechanic. If you spam abilities, which guess what, it's that type of game, you're supposed to combo, the game will register 1 or 2 button pushes beyond what you're currently at, and you have to wait for those to complete to dodge. Hitting dodge should cancel any future hits and let you dodge the moment the animation you're in ends. This is a co-op game, and they could just let us animation cancel, but then the game might become too easy. All of this, once you get used to it, becomes minor. What I feel is going to get players the most is that when you get knocked down or hit rapidly, there's not really a way for the player to respond. When hit rapidly, you can sometimes pull off a dodge, but when thrown to the ground, you're vulnerable and can get hit repeatedly before you can recover. In a boss fight, this means the end for you. In this way, it's similar to a Dark Souls style. Which, if that's what they're going for, then it works. I just think players are not expecting it when they see a game like this. And that is another thing. If you want to play on the harder difficulties, the game plays a lot like Dark Souls, which is great for me, as I really enjoy that game, and I think other games should be more like that. I think games have been made way too easy since the creation of the original Xbox. If you're planning on feeling like a god in this game, like in Diablo, then you will need to stick to the lower difficulties. This game starts you out at a low level with base junk gear. So, this game starts you out at a low level with base junk gear. You have to find more gear, upgrade the gear, and earn XP to get stronger. As you level up, you'll gain access to new move skills and feats, which, according to the devs, you can eventually gain access to all of them once you hit max level, which I believe they said was 20. Your stat points are Strength, Dexterity, Constitution, Wisdom, Intelligence, Charisma, and if you stat them wrong, so far there's no way to reset those. So make sure to check out some guides and get those stat points correct to do maximum damage. The game devs made a decision about how the AI operates to make the game slightly easier for you. I'm not sure I agree with this choice. Basically, the AI is only allowed to fight in their predetermined space and cannot leave that space to fight you. This will allow players to cheese fights if they so choose. And generally players so choose. This is the player's choice to cheese or not to cheese though. It would be nice to see an update in the future that makes it more like Dark Souls, where the enemies will hunt you down once they have spotted you. While we are on the topic of AI, the AI seems to get smarter the higher you set the difficulty. Of course, the game devs have said that's not the case. The AI just gets stronger, but if you do have it on the lowest difficulty, they'll only fight you one at a time, and usually they seem to get confused on which one gets to fight you, and they just kind of stand around wondering which one's going to hit you first until they're dead. So, level 2 difficulty or higher, more of them will try and fight you at once, and it's more fun, also harder, so I prefer that difficulty. And of course, they have more HP and hit harder as well. It would be nice to see the AI get smarter as the difficulty gets harder. That would be a really nice feature that's not that complicated to put into a game. But unfortunately, most game developers ignore this. Most games just buff the AI and call it good. To make AI smarter through difficulty, you just need booleans on a behavior tree or separate behavior trees for each difficulty. So you're wondering, well, how much content does the game provide? Well, that depends on you. If you play it at difficulty 1, you can breeze through the game. If you want it to last longer, bump up the difficulty. It took me almost 4 hours to get through the first 2 acts of the first area. There are 7 areas and at least 3 acts for each, giving the game a total of 21 levels. So if you put the difficulty up enough to challenge your skill, it could take up to 108 hours to clear the game once. That's quite a bit of content, as most games can be beaten in 40 hours or so. On top of that, to get the good gear and beat all of the enemies, you will need to replay some levels multiple times at different difficulties. In this way, they are taking a play straight out of Diablo, and it works. So, is this game for you, and how do you get to try it for $1? Well, overall, the game is a lot of fun, and has nothing game-breaking that I have seen so far, just some minor issues. The game has some interesting traps, it has puzzles, and a lot of hack-and-slash combat. Everything you expected to have from the trailer. I was quite surprised at how well it was designed. In time, with some funding, this game can get even better. On top of that, there are planned DLCs coming out in the future. It would have been nice to see a little more complicated puzzles than what they put into the game, but really this is not a Tomb Raider style game, so puzzles is not on top of their list of important things to do as far as game design goes. Now, at the time of filming this video, there's a deal from Xbox on PC called Game Pass. It is $1 for 3 months for the Ultimate, or you can get the basic pass for $1 for 1 month. Assuming your PC meets the specs, you can download and play this game for a few weeks and decide if you want to buy it or not. The pass does go to $10 a month for the basic and $15 a month for the Ultimate, but it does have access to hundreds of games. You can't really beat trying this game out for $1. Now, the $1 deal for the Game Pass is ending soon, so make sure you grab that if you really want to. And yes, while it's called the Xbox Game Pass, it is more than just the Xbox. You can get the Game Pass for the PC and play the games on the PC as long as you have a Microsoft account. You may need to set one up if you do not have one, and this will be your Xbox account. So overall, do I recommend this game? Well, I don't like to tell you what games to play and what not to play. I like to just tell you how I feel about a game and then let you make a decision based on how you feel about the game. One thing to remember, games on Game Pass are on there temporarily, so after a certain amount of time it will leave Game Pass and you will have to buy the game at some point. I hope this video helps you in your decision on whether you want to get the game or not. You can always check out my live stream linked in the comments below to see the excitement and frustration the game can bring. Have an awesome day.